Shill, how are you today?
Good, Dan. What's up?
What'd you think of the three guys who got in yesterday?
So excited, especially for Jeff. I played with Jeff his rookie year in 1991, and I'll always remember, there are moments I'll remember about players, and the one I remember about him was him hitting an upper deck home run in the old Pirate Stadium. He only hit 16 home runs his rookie year, but he had 50 home run power, and to watch him blossom, mature, in addition to being one of the nicest and most enjoyable teammates I ever had, was a lot of fun. I'm really happy for him. I'm disappointed it took this long for Tim Raines. I think I would argue he's the second best leadoff hitter in the history of the game, in my opinion. Should have been in a long time ago. And then Pudge, you know what, best catcher, defensive catcher I've ever seen. So I'm happy for him.
Who would be the last guy you'd want to face out of those three?
I didn't look at it like that. Those are the guys I wanted to face. Tim Raines was. I was always worried about the on base guys. Timmy hitting the top of that lineup. He understood what his role was, and I never liked that. I always liked guys who tried to be players they weren't, and none of those guys did. So,
Bonds and Clemens' vote totals went up. Why do you think?
They're getting in. Because people are moving on. It's the cause. I think for the original vote totals is something they don't really care about anymore, and I think you're going to see them get in the next 1 or 2 years.
Should we care about that?
I don't know. That's your prerogative. I wouldn't vote for him, but I'm not the purveyor or the owner of the Hall of Fame. I don't think being caught cheating, and I know blah blah blah. They never got caught, but we know we know. I mean, we just knowing the world that I lived in for 22 years, I don't doubt it for a second. So it sucks for me from the perspective of Roger Clemens' influence on my career was astronomical, and I wasn't as mad as I was just really disappointed. So. Anyway.
But I also look at this that we may look at the hitters with suspicion or put asterisks by their totals, those in the steroid era, but we don't really bump up the pitcher who had to face these. I still maintain Pedro Martinez for what he did, when he did it, how he did it in that ballpark, facing American League hitters, including the DH. It's almost as if Pedro, and I know he's already a Hall of Famer, but he's underrated, I think.
Well, let's be very clear about something. 1991 to 2001 was the greatest 3-year run in the history of the game by a long, long, long margin. When you compare Koufax's historic run, and it was historic, amazing. When you look at any other run, in the era in which they happened, his stats were so far outside the norm that there was nothing ever like that ever before, and there'll never ever be anything like that again. Even though. I'm not a Josh Ernest fan. It's something I think you and I can agree on.
Yeah. Curt Schilling joining us, 3-time World Series champ. Your vote total dipped again. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
No, we all know why. Because I'm not quiet. I think if I didn't talk, I might have gotten in this time. But you know me, excuse me, and you know that's not who I am. And you also know. I think I believe it's politics in one sense, but I also think the retweeting of the T-shirt gave them an out, so to speak. You've known me how long? 20 years?
Maybe longer.
I don't believe I had a lynching history in my past prior to meeting you. I don't believe I actually lynched anybody while I was in the big leagues, and I'm pretty sure I've never written a paper or advocated for the lynching of human beings ever. I retweeted a picture of a T-shirt that I thought was humorous because I absolutely believe in my heart of hearts that the mainstream media has killed itself. And as we know it, the mainstream media as we know it is dead. They just don't know it yet.
But if I gave you a redo, a mulligan, would you have retweeted the T-shirt?
And let me tell you why I would not. I would not because you know how sick and tired I am of trying to explain to people what I was doing? And unfortunately, and I'm not blaming everybody else. A lot of times I'm on the hook. Unfortunately, I have to do that a lot of times because of the things that I do and say. Because in 140 characters on Twitter, listen, I can't say no to I can't do anything in life in 140 characters. It's not humanly possible for me. And it's not generally the best format to communicate. But tone and humor and sarcasm doesn't generally translate in Twitter as well as it does in real life. And, I know that. I acknowledge that. I thought it was funny. I didn't think it was in any way harmful. Certainly, anybody who knows me knows I would never. I don't like to see people get hurt. I thought it was sarcastic, but you know what? These are the same people who were laughing at the "Kill Cops, Kill Pigs" T-shirts, or they were maybe not laughing, but they sure as hell weren't talking about them. And so, or "Hands Up, Don't Shoot." They wore all those. They were proud of those, but they never came out and said anything when that was proven to be a complete fabricated lie. So.
Do you think that you would be phony if you don't respond? Because if I said, if you calm down, you can get into the Hall of Fame, do you think are you capable of doing that?
I don't know, Dan. And I guess there's a lot of things I should. Here's the thing. You know what gets me? I'm on Twitter, and a lot of people will troll me on Twitter, and I'll fire back with a. A lot of times I'll get somebody will say, the blood on your sock was fake, and I'll tweet back, yeah, but this is real, and it'll be a picture of the ring. I like embarrassing people on Twitter, just like I like embarrassing people in the stands when I was playing the game. They'd yell over stuff, and I'd say, hey, listen, I got my wallet here. Why don't you hand me your paycheck? I'll cash it for you. Or something stupid, just to make. I love to watch bullies or people that try to demean people get it handed to them, and I was always pretty good at it because I was always on the other side of it. Playing and talking as much as I did, I opened myself up to a lot of criticism. And being built the way I'm built, I always tell people this isn't a body. This is kind of a cruel family joke that I got. But that's the game we played. You've been in clubhouses. That's what we do.
But are you willing to sacrifice the Hall of Fame?
But listen, if that sacrifices the Hall of Fame, I don't want to be in anyway. If the Hall of Fame, if the writers in the that vote for the Hall of Fame are going to invoke, quote unquote, the character clause, and they're going to randomly invoke it, then you know what? So be it. It wasn't meant to be. Because if you want to invoke the character clause, then your ass better put Dale Murphy in the Hall of Fame yesterday, because he was one of the finest human beings I've ever known, and he was a Hall of Famer. If you want to invoke the character clause and vote for Barry Bonds or Roger Clemens, kiss my butt. And if you vote for Barry Bonds or Roger Clemens and you don't vote for Manny Ramirez, you're an idiot. So. If that ends up costing me votes, okay, so what?
I'm not sure of the character clause, though, Curt. I thought the character clause had to do with when you played. I don't know.
I thought it did.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand, that Bonds and Clemens and their character and what it did to the game, you didn't do anything that harmed the game. You're saying comments now that have nothing to do with your baseball career. It's you as a person. How is that attached to your baseball career and baseball character? That's what I'm curious.
I would tell you that the things that matter in my life, I think, say far more about me than they do than the media does. I won the Roberto Clemente Award, the one award I wanted to win during my baseball career, the Branch Rickey Award. All of the awards I won for the off-the-field stuff I did were much more important to me than anything else because they told people more about who I was than what I did. And at the end of the day, I wanted to win an award that you didn't have to pitch for because I wanted to make a difference in people's lives and at the time and place as a player when I could. And I feel like we tried to do that. We could have done more, absolutely. Who couldn't? But that's the way the world works. And it's why I told you this. I think you might have been the first person I ever told this. I have never lost and will never lose 1 second of sleep over this because I've met, and a couple of weeks ago I said something that I don't want to retract, but I want to clarify. And I was talking about the fact that some of the worst scumbags I've ever met are writers. That's clearly the minority. There are so many good people. Even you as a liberal, you're kind of a good guy. I mean, but I played with some really, really bad people, and I watched Bill Conlon get inducted into get the Fort C. Frick Award, who was a pedophile. I watched people who I know were really, really bad people be lauded as being good people. But that's everywhere, and that's everything. But for me to be concerned about those people passing judgment on my character. Nah, I'm not going to worry about that. I can't control that, and it's a process I have no control over. It's a process humans are involved in, so there's going to be bias. You expect there to be bias, and writers have made no qualms about it. Listen, Bill Conlon told me to my face, and here's the other thing, Dan. I called them out for it. When people did stupid stuff, I called these – when they would embarrass people on my team or they would try to write something about me that wasn't true – I would call them out in the clubhouse and embarrass them the way they embarrassed me. I didn't have a problem, and I think that's why a lot of them didn't like me. But Bill Conlon once told me he did not vote for Nolan Ryan because if Don Sutton didn't get in unanimously, then Nolan Ryan didn't deserve to either.
Oh my gosh!
And he's not the only one.
Would you vote for Manny? Would you vote for Manny Ramirez?
I would not vote for anybody that cheated. So no.
But this is what I'm trying to figure out, Curt, as we move forward, because we're moving forward, and you're going to have guys who are known steroid users get in.
Mm-hmm.
Can I have a line of demarcation, a Mason-Dixon line that says a before and after testing, and if you tested positive or anybody who tests positive from now on, you're automatically not eligible for the Baseball Hall of Fame? Like what?
But that's the thing. The Hall of Fame isn't run by MLB.
No, I know.
And your line of demarcation is whatever you want it to be. I can't remember. Was it George King, the writer in New York, who didn't vote for Pedro for the MVP that one year?
Yep.
And he said, "I don't vote for pitchers."
Yep.
Well, he had voted for Mario Rivera, and he did so again.
Yep.
Your personal line of demarcation is whatever you want it to be, and that's fine. There are no solid guidelines to this, so there's going to be bias. And think about the fact that Trevor Hoffman missed by 5 votes yesterday, and you look at some of the people that got 1 vote. It's embarrassing. They use, and that's one of my dogs. Apologize. Really? You stop. Shut up.
Sounded like a liberal there.
But it did. That was my little dog Hillary. But so you don't worry about it. You just let that be and let it do. I keep saying and I tell you, this has been a great teaching moment for my kids in the sense that. They know me. They know who I am and what I'm all about. And so when someone calls me a racist and my youngest son goes, I don't understand how someone can do that. What have you said? And I said, listen, and I tell them what my dad told me. When you leave the house at 18, the word fair goes out the window. Don't be cynical, but the world's not looking to be fair to you. And so there are things that are said about me. Here's the thing, Dan. You've known me for 20 years. Do you think in any way, shape, or form I'm a racist?
I don't know you well enough off the field, but there's nothing that led me to believe that you are, but I don't know that.
22 years in the game. If I was a racist, if I was John Rocker, do you not think as much as I talk that somebody somewhere would have heard me say something racist?
Probably, but my point is that I think you're a Hall of Fame pitcher. I don't think it's fair that they have these comments, even though I don't agree with most of your comments. It still doesn't affect me in what I saw in a big game, whether it was with Philadelphia or Arizona, with Boston. You're on the short list of guys I would hand the ball to, and I don't think it's fair that your character now is attached to your baseball character, your baseball career. So we can leave it at that, and I don't.
That's cool.
Well, I'll talk to you next year this time.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you, Curt.
Dan, take care, buddy.
All right, that's Curt Schilling.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.